Entertainment Network, Infotainment Network. For the 29th day of September, the year of our Lord 2020, and live from beautiful downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Busy fucking day today. Live from New Orleans, we're joined by comedian, Saints fan, and gambling degenerate, Mr. Chris Trew. Also, Paul Feinstein, our food and travel writer, host of the Paulcast, and greasy Lakers fan. He's going to help us out and try and figure out exactly what happens from here if LeBron wins, and is he the greatest of all time? The numbers say he might be. Not only that, we're going to get into some fantasy today. We're going to get into some gambling today. Trump was all world last night in the presidential debate. And we're also joined by Rookie Cookie, Chris Rooke, our head of production here at DeanBlundell.com. He's a fantasy guru, so lots going on today. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we today? Huh?
Dean, I just want to remind you that today is the 30th day of the month, not the 29th.
You can bring that music down if you like. Yeah, that'd be great.
Hey, I'm doing great,
slick.
Dean. Thanks for asking. I'm doing great. I love that you called Paul greasy.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
He's a greasy Lakers fan. And you're right, it is the 30th of September. My bad. The 30th of September, 2020. At least I got that right. How is everybody today?
Healthy and sane.
Yeah? Healthy and sane or healthy and insane?
No, maybe a little bit of both. Cabin fever is a real thing.
Yeah, no kidding, especially in L.A. That's where Paul is. Chris Trew is in New Orleans. Chris Rooke is in beautiful Milton in his study. He's in the study right now. Real quick, before we get to the Lakers of the championship, before we get to LeBron's greatness, before we get to some OnlyFans stuff and some fantasy stuff, we need to talk about the debate. Hands up if we watch the presidential debate. Fingers up, hands up. Just two. 2 out of 4, huh? 2 out of 4. You know what's interesting? I would assumed that Chris Trew, who's American, would have a vested interest in this as well, but you didn't watch for shit. You didn't watch anything. You didn't watch any of the debate.
I didn't watch for shit. I tried to watch the Scream 3 last night, the third in the Scream trilogy that was released about 25 years ago. That's what I was trying to watch last night.
Yeah,
You probably made the right choice.
Probably, yeah.
And that's what I keep hearing. You know, everything that I've seen or heard is like it was a waste of time, and you didn't have to do that. And so I'm glad I didn't.
Well, I watched it start to finish, and I don't regret it because I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that. It was almost like, sticking your head out of the window when you're going through a tunnel or something. You're like, I got to do it. So I was watching this, and I kept thinking about Paul, and I kept thinking about you as I'm watching this going, how the fuck can any of these guys in America be listening to this and go, and I'm just talking about Trump. Biden was like, my take was Biden was just kind of there for posterity. You know, he forgot half the questions that were being asked, didn't really need to do anything. But from inciting a white supremacist group, the Proud Boys, to stand by if he needs their help on Election Day, to making fun of Joe Biden's son for doing drugs, to interrupting Joe Biden all day, to basically saying he's going to protest the election no matter what. What I took out of that is, Paul, you guys are deeply fucked if he wins again.
We are. I think we're deeply fucked in a number of ways. Even if he loses, I think we're going to see the craziest 3-month lame duck session we've ever seen in our country's history. I cannot predict what will he do over the course of the 3 months that he's on his way out, but he still has full power over everything. And the new Senate doesn't get sworn in until I think like the first week of January. So I'm concerned that, obviously we have a con artist in the White House, and so he will do whatever he can to lie, cheat, and steal his way to stay in there. One thing that's not mentioned is that it's illegal to intimidate at the polls, and he's actively encouraging people to go to the polls to like investigate and watch over voters to make sure that there's no shenanigans going on. But like, it's basically illegal. It's a felony to do that, and no one's talking about that, which I think is probably a little alarming.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. I want to play you the clip. This is let's start with the first clip. This is about, if I'm not mistaken, this is Joe Biden, who right at the start, it was like 20 minutes in, and Trump wouldn't shut the fuck up. And this is Joe Biden trying to explain to citizens and people of the world, tens of millions of people, something to do with fucking healthcare. I don't really necessarily remember the exact question, but it doesn't matter because nobody really understood any of the questions anyway. But do we have the clip, Sean? We got it here. I want you to listen to this. This is this is Joe Biden. Like, this is literally 20 minutes in. He was one down. Yeah, that one. This is 20 minutes in. Have a listen to Joe Biden here. There we go. It's coming.
I'm not going to answer the question.
Why
because,
would you answer that
because
question?
the question is the question
Supreme
is
Court Justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Shut up.
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
right.
Gentlemen, I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the
unprecedented.
court.
We have
I'm not gonna give a list.
we have
Check that
ended
off.
this segment.
So that
We're
was,
going
it
to
was
move on to the
Chris
second
Wallace.
segment.
That was really a
it was like
productive
it was
segment.
it was just a sharp like, shut up, man. Like, for fuck's sakes, will you let me talk?
Yeah, and I think that was the center. I feel like that was the sentiment of the entire country at that moment, which was just like shut the fuck up for once. And I thought it was a good moment for Biden. I do. Yeah. I just but he got so sidetracked on so many things, and I don't know if anyone won this debate. I know we all lost by watching it. So congrats on everyone who didn't. But good moment, at least, for Biden.
What would have made the moment even better, Paul, in your opinion? Like, should he have said the F word? Should he have like thrown his hands
if he had actually said
up?
if he had said shut the fuck up, it would have been gold.
He really, I'm probably, last round draft pick to be his campaign manager. If you took the entire universe and put him in a draft class for this job. Mm-hmm. But that's what I would tell him. I would say, you got to say fuck next time, man. Throw a fuck in there. Let's get on some let's get some headline news out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little worried because Biden likes to challenge people to push-ups, and so I was both worried and hoping that he was going to challenge Trump at one point to some sort of feat of strength during the debate. It would have been glorious.
This is a presidential debate we're talking about still, right?
That is true. It's not WWE. It's not.
Just double check it there.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like that. It just felt like, the entire time Trump was just kind of relitigating all of his old grievances in public, talking about how the election was going to be fucked by ballots, and it was, he's the only president who's ever been this harassed, and everybody else is stupid, and he's smart, and one of the meaner things that he did. It was towards the end of the actual debate. It was when they were talking about, he was asked about the military. They were talking about the military, from Trump saying that the military were suckers to go over there and die. There was nothing in it for them, if you remember that a little while ago. And then Joe was addressing that, which is when Joe was talking about his son, Beau, who died of a glioblastoma, which is a brain cancer, a number of years ago after he served in Iraq. He's also got another son named Hunter, who famously likes the drugs. I know a lot of people that like drugs. I know a lot of people that go to strip joints. I don't see that there's anything wrong with them. That's just what they do. Anyway, Hunter Biden had a bit of a drug issue, and so that was when, as Joe was talking about his son who died, that's when Donald Trump thought he'd bring up, his other son's drug problem. Have a listen to this. This is a good one.
And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about Hunter?
hell.
Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Beau Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Beau. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
For
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. Once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
He made a fortune.
My son,
and he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son?
of millions
All right, but he wasn't given tens of millions of dollars. That is totally.
Effectively, he's talking about his dead son. He brings up his other son, who, by all accounts, according to Trump, is a degenerate because he tries coke, or liked coke, or still likes coke. I don't know, but then at the end of it, Joe's like, yeah, he did have drug problems, and he's really trying to get over it, and he's doing his very best. And I thought that was the only part of that debate that was interesting. I thought that was the only part of that debate where I'm like, what a cocksucker. And then Joe reveals himself to be someone who's the antithesis of who Donald Trump is by saying, yeah, he had a drug problem. He was addicted to cocaine. He got through it. He's on the other side, and I'm really proud of my son. I thought that was like the only humane moment of the whole fucking thing. That was it.
Well, he proves that he's a human being. I mean, who has empathy and sympathy. I don't know if Trump has either. And he's just a human being, and he's a dad. And hopefully that resonated with a lot of people whose kids served in the military and who are just parents in general. I mean, it's just he's not a human being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, Dean, I think outside of that, the whole thing of him throwing the other son under the bus for doing the drugs is like such a, when you're losing an argument thing, just throwing anything at the wall, like, oh, well, your son has a drug problem. Like when you're just consistently taking L's.
Yeah.
And then you just throw it in there at the end to try and salvage something. That's what I took away from it.
Well, it's that or bring up Hillary Clinton. It's one of the other.
Yeah. That's some emails. Was it that Seinfeld episode where they wanted to shock people, so they would say, "I had sex with your mother"? Remember that? Remember that episode?
I had sex with your wife.
I had sex with your wife. Oh, mother.
His wife's in a coma.
I had sex with your wife. That would have been great to hear on the stage last night. Donald Trump go, "Oh yeah, I had sex with Jill Biden. That's what I did." That was like the only way he could have been less classy is if he said something along those lines. One of the things that he did yesterday is he mobilized the white supremacists. Here's a clip real quick of Donald Trump being asked to deny white supremacy. Now, listen, there are very few PR gimmies in this world, boys. Very few. And asking someone if they're a white supremacist and that person responding, whether they believe it or not, with no, it's the only real answer in 2020.
I would say fuck no. He should have said fuck no. Multiple opportunities for fucks last night.
Yeah.
It feels like your wife.
So the debate lacked a lot of fucks.
Yeah, it did.
It did not have any fucks.
Anyway, here's Trump talking about it, when he was asked to deny or condemn white supremacy. This is him saying, basically sending a message to the Proud Boys saying, stand by, not stand back.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
to do
specifically
that,
do it? Well, go ahead,
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white supremacists. Like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left.
Stand back and see. He goes, wow. Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. And Chris Wallace, who was doing the moderating, he's like, will you condemn Proud Boys and Nazis and tell them to stand down? He's like, stand back, but stand by, he says to him.
Thought he was so slick for saying that too, probably.
He probably thought he was slick. It's like as I was saying to you guys before we were live, as the only Jew on this panel, I personally am horrified by the Proud Boys and do you know what the Anti-Defamation League is? The ADL. They track basically anti-Semitic incidents in the United States and around the world. And every year of Trump's presidency, it is ticked up and up and up and up with the amount of anti-Semitic attacks and incidents. And I can't wait for what happens as a result of this one. It's going to be wonderful.
Well,
really great.
Was it not a call to arms? Because I was actually looking at a bunch of Proud Boys shit, believe it or not, because I thought, man, I need to fucking explain who the Proud Boys are on the blog to people so that they can understand who much of a fucking douchebag this guy is. Proud Boys were actually founded by a Canadian dude named Gavin McInnes. Did you guys know that?
Fucking Gavin. He's the fucking worst.
Gavin McInnes, who is a 50-plus-year-old right-winger who originally
Chris, you could go as him for Halloween because your beards are very similar.
Oh no.
Yeah, you have like a much younger Gavin McInnes vibe.
Oh no.
I will not be using that as a press quote from you, Dean Blundell.
So
not adding that to my bio.
I wouldn't either. But I did some research, and so this guy in 2008, he sells his shares in Vice. He's super wealthy, and he's like, I'm going to fucking go where my heart is. And so he went to the right wing, and he just started a couple of different podcasts, and then he decided to start this gang called Proud Boys. So the Proud Boys are effectively, it's a men's-only club full of neo-fascists who hate Jewish people and hate black people, and their main goal is to preserve Western patriarchal society as they knew it. So anything outside of what they were taught or how they were brought up, all the colonialism and all the bullshit that we talk about, that's what they truly believe in, to the point where their goal is to physically be violent and scare the shit out of people in these protests. And if you go to deanblundell.com and you check out the post on Gavin McInnes and who are the Proud Boys, that's effectively who they are. They are a militant, well-armed, right-wing organization in the United States, Canada, I believe Austria as well. There's a shocker. It is in Germany, and it is full of guys like Gavin McInnes who need to be shot out of a fucking shit cannon into the sun. And that's who Trump mobilized. So when I went online, I started looking at Gavin McInnes' feed, and he was tweeting different people, like this guy Joe Biggs, who's a huge member of the society. He says, and I'm just looking at it here, Trump basically said to go fuck them up. This makes me so happy. Another guy named Enrique Terrio, who's a member of the Proud Boys, he says, I'm standing by, sir, to the president after he said, stand by, Proud Boys. And then Joe Biggs says again, President Trump told the Proud Boys to stand by because someone needs to deal with Antifa. We will be ready, sir. Proud Boys shout at the presidential debate. I can't believe we got a shout out. And then they put out a thing that says, stand back, stand by, we are the Proud Boys. So I don't know about anybody here, but again, I don't know how hard it is to say racism, not into it. Like, like you know, like I said, even if you are racist, there is no upside to having an opinion that there's probably some room for some white systematic fucking suppression of black people. Like that's. Do you know what I mean? Like it blows my mind every time someone has an alternative opinion to, is white the best? Yeah, it is. I don't have any time for any other colors, to be honest with you. That's the part that makes me crazy, Chris Trew. That's the part I don't understand.
Yeah, it is. It's a bonkers way of being a human. It's not really being a human. It's like you said. Put them in a cannon. You said a shit cannon? Is the cannon itself is made out of shit, or there's shit inside the cannon?
The gunpowder is turds.
It's poo-poo. It's turds. Okay. Yeah. Put them all in a regular cannon.
Yeah.
Fill it up with poo-poo powder, and then shoot them into the sun. Sure, I'm into that. It seems like the only logical solution.
Yeah.
To be very honest.
I don't.
For me,
yeah, go ahead.
It's just how stupid can you be as a human being in today's climate, with everything that's going on, with all the exposure, and just how stupid can you be? That's
well, he thinks. Well, he actually thinks it's a strategy that will get him to win. Like every time he talks about the suburbs, it's just code for white people. Mm-hmm. Even though the suburbs are fairly integrated across the country. But every time he talks about the suburbs, that's his dog whistle for white people. Look out. he's gonna let the black people into your neighborhood,
or worse,
and they're gonna make things worse,
or worse, the Jews, Paul. They're trying to keep
or worse, or people like me are into your neighborhood. By the way, just real quick, I just want to say that I think it's nice to see that Canada also has someone who isn't nice. With Gavin.
We don't claim him. He spent some time here. He went to Carleton. That's where he came up with his very divisive views. He's actually Scottish. But I was shocked that the guy who organized this whole fucking movement full of douchebags was from Canada. That was the part that really fucking blew.
It was very refreshing for me that he wasn't from Florida.
He might have a vacation home in Florida, though, Paul.
He 100% has a vacation home in Florida. Yeah. No question about it.
Melbourne, for sure.
Yeah, it's a weird fucking step to take. Like where you go, I'm looking for, because there's a lot of people out there that look for something, right? They're looking for clubs. They're looking, like I've got a friend who's my age. He just joined a bowling club, and I'm like, you bowling? What the fuck are you bowling for? He goes, I needed a group of people to go hang out with, and my lifestyle is X, and so I started bowling, and I really fucking enjoy it.
And everyone also hates black people in the club. So I wanted it.
Yeah, we use white balls. That's it. But like, who goes looking for guys like this on the internet? That's the part that I find incredible too. Is that like someone would actually hear the views of a white supremacist and go, "That's the fucking group for me, guy. Like, that's the one I need to join."
I think it may be a commentary on our education system broadly, but we don't need to get into that.
That is true. You do have a shitty education system.
Well, it's just a fractured education system.
It's pretty
not broken, fractured.
Yeah.
Sprained.
It's pretty shitty. So here's a question, because one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, one of the things that was trending yesterday, and I don't care who answers this, as long as you're from the United States, one of the things was trending because I did a little research. Search engine queries for how do I move to Canada from the U.S. or how can I get into Canada were up 10,000% last night. Yeah.
Does that mean a lot? Did I get a lot of traffic on my article that I wrote for DeanBlundell.com on being a Trump refugee?
A Trump refugee, yeah, it did. It got like it.
How to actually go to Canada?
It got a ton of traction. I was shocked because you wrote it a while ago. And I thought, this is a question for, I know Chris is like, he's not leaving New Orleans no matter what, but have you guys ever, do you have friends, or is there a sentiment in the United States, if you're not of the same view as these Cracker Jacks, that fuck, maybe we need to move to Canada?
I wish that I knew some people who would actually follow through on that. I think I have a normal amount of people in my social circle that's kind of like a default joke, although I think some people are also being kind of serious, or they wish they were serious. I would love to see what would happen if that really did go down. Like, pick like a weird remote town in Canada, like, I don't know, like Pemberton or something, go somewhere where there's not a ton of people and just be like, you know what? Now Baltimore is in British Columbia now. Like we're all here, and then let's see what happens. I don't mean that in like a eye roll way. I mean that in like that's actually kind of inspiring and exciting. I would love it if people would actually push the button and do that.
That's like that M. Night Shyamalan movie. It was like 1962. Remember that one? And the monster was just a handicapped guy from like some other family because of the inbreeding. Remember that? Anyway, but Paul, have you thought about? Because I've got friends. I was talking to a guy who's in a Canadian band. I won't say who it is. And I was talking to him yesterday, and he lives in L.A. with his wife, and he's like, I think we're making the move. Like, I think we're coming.
So not only have I thought about it, but I believe I'm going to be writing an article about it. Unfortunately, not for you, Dean, but for another travel publication. But about how to, like, what does it actually cost to leave America and go to other countries? And Canada, I've already written about, obviously. But like, if you wanted to just move, like if you want to go to Italy, I think it's $1 million. If you want to go to England, I think it's maybe $1.5 million. I think New Zealand's $1 million. And so it's expensive to just believe.
You're talking
Canada
about just
obviously
fees to get into the country and stuff like that?
you have to go through. Sorry,
Is that you're talking? Sorry, you're talking about fees and stuff like that. You have to pay to get into certain countries, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So like there's like if you actually just wanted to become a citizen of another country, where you can pay how you feel about the specific countries. There are some as low as the tens of thousands, and there are others that are in the millions of dollars that you can actually pay to become a citizen of that country.
How much is it to come to Canada?
I actually don't think you have just a flat fee, if I recall, but I'm looking it up right now. But I don't know that I
think it's like 80. I think it's like $80.
It's not $80, but
I think it's like $100.
That's a lower bowl Maple Leafs ticket, huh? Or no, it's an upper deck Maple Leafs ticket.
I think it depends on your skill set. Like, can you drive a cab? Yes or no?
Yeah, right.
Can you operate a cash register? Yes or no?
Well, so one of the things I recommend is to declare yourself a refugee because of our dictator in chief, and we need to, if you want to declare refugee, Canada has actually pretty good policies to allow refugees to come in and live in Canada. So I think that's the way to go.
That was
Are there certain jobs or skills that if you were to go to another country, this might be a really ignorant question, by the way, but if like I were trying to go to New Zealand, would it matter if I was like, okay, well, my skill sets is like I can teach theater to children and I can like open a performance art space? Are they like, oh, you are a better candidate than someone who is going to, I don't know, like, insert boring.
Look for a job? Someone who's just there to look for a job and start a new life?
Yeah. Yes and no. So if you were wanting to move to New Zealand and you're telling the New Zealand government, I am going to start a theater, that sort of like goes into that I'm paying to become a citizen bucket. So there's a lot of options in that realm for you because you're hiring people in New Zealand, you're benefiting their society. And so yes, you have a much better chance of becoming a citizen. Right off the bat, they'd probably just give you whatever the equivalent of a New Zealand green card is, to be able to work there, and then you would start a process of citizenship from there.
Interesting.
So my understanding is, because I immigrated to Canada when I was like 1, we were sponsored by my grandmother who was already over here. It's a long story. We came from England. But my understanding is that you can claim refugee status in Canada depending on the dictatorial nature or the human rights record of a certain country, right? So
correct.
Does Trump qualify internationally as a dictator? I would say yes. But if you put that on your form, will it work?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's actually tried it yet. I'm not sure.
That's a great question.
Look, if he delegitimizes the entire election and claims power even after losing, I wouldn't be surprised if there were countries that said, yeah, you can claim refugee status and come here.
That's unbelievable to me. That's which is crazy, and
it's crazy that that's even in the realm of possibility.
Well, and crazy that people like you are actually considering it. You know what I mean? Or looking it up, or are threatened enough by what's going on in your country that you're like, it just might be time to go to a totally different country. Like that's the part that is mind blowing to me, because I grew up in the age of watching American television, and all I wanted to do was go to America. For the candy bars, like I said, for the 12 gallons of pop that you have in one glass, for the ice cream that's the size of your head. Like I used to think that the U.S. was it. Like if you went to New York, oh my God, I'm in New York or I'm in Boston. I've been to all those cities. I've been to Chicago, I've been to L.A., I've been to New York, I've been to Boston, I've been to Miami. I've been everywhere, and every single time I've been in one of those cities, I was like, this is it. You know what I mean?
Look, I always say that there are only 2 places in America I would live, and that's LA or New York. I am an elitist, I guess you would call me, or a coastal elite. But no offense to New Orleans, I love that city, but I wouldn't want to live there. Look, we have steadily declined in a lot of different metrics: education, healthcare, quality of life broadly. Just the homeless. Like, we have 60,000 homeless people in Los Angeles. I mean, it's 60,000. That's a city. That's a whole city.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, there are places around the world that are unbelievably great and do a lot of things better than we do. And I'm lucky that I have a job that I can go and do from anywhere. And I would really consider it based on my ability to be mobile.
Yeah,
I totally know what you mean there about the size of America.
Yeah.
The first place I ever went was Pittsburgh, and I was expecting this crazy thing, and it was the size of downtown Mississauga, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is where the Steelers play?
Yeah. Oh, dude, the same thing when I went to Detroit for the first time in like 2001. I drove across the Ambassador Bridge, got to downtown Detroit, and there was no one there because everything was burnt out. And I'm like, the fuck is this? Where's downtown? They're like, yeah, there isn't really one. Like it's like that all over. And I don't want to spend this time shitting on America because I love Americans, and I think you're just 30 something days away from correcting course. But I personally think it's going to be fucking fascinating to see what happens after the election. Like, that's really the next shoe to drop, right? Like, you just got to see who wins. I don't doubt that Donald Trump still might win because of all the shit that's gone on. There's so much going on. It's just very entertaining, but I'm very sorry for you people.
Apology accepted.
Apology accepted.
I'm very, very sorry for you people. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys too, because I got Blue Jays in the playoffs. They lost yesterday because Carlos Montoya decided to pull Matt Shoemaker for no fucking reason whatsoever in the third inning. That's another story. They're playing again tonight, but when it comes to having your teams in the playoffs, we got nothing. Paul's got his beloved Lakers in the NBA Finals. It is LeBron James' 10th trip to the Finals in 17 years. I'm an MJ. I'm an MJ fan. I'm an MJ fan, but I mean, do you put him on this? It's a stupid argument. I want to get through it real fast, but can you put him in the same category now as Michael Jordan?
So, you want me to take this, or Chris, you want to go?
Don't care.
Go ahead, Paul.
All right. As the diehard Laker fan on the panel, here's what I would say. Magic Johnson went to 9 finals in 11 years, just as a frame of reference, and won 5 championships. Michael Jordan was 6-0 in NBA Finals. He went 3, took a little time off for gambling and baseball, and then won 3 again. So I like to think of it like this. So you have Michael Jordan, to me, is the best. I don't think there's any argument to that in any way, shape, or form. When Shaq talks about how he's the most dominant player of all time, we're going to have to come up with a new category for what LeBron is. Is he the most enduring player of all time? Is he has his own thing. He is the best of a thing. I just don't know what you were going to call it yet, because I just think it's really hard to supplant Michael Jordan, especially with the 6 rings. Look, it's really hard when LeBron has 3. Hopefully he'll have 4 after this year, but still that's too short of MJ. But he's done it longer at a higher level than anyone has ever done it in the history of the NBA, with the possible exception of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And there's got to be a name for that. I just don't know what it is yet.
Pussy, because he flops all the time.
Come on, Dean.
I hate watching him play. And the other thing too is, I don't know if it works for him or against him, to go to the finals with 3 different teams. One of those teams in 2 separate decades. That counts. I mean, that's over 300 different teammates in 17 years. So rotating guys in, going to different cities, going to different teams. It's just how dominant a player he is, Chris Trew. Like that's it, and he transcends any other player in my time in the NBA, because MJ did it with the same team, Magic did it with the same team, Kobe did it with the same team. Like this guy's traveled and won everywhere he's been.
Yeah, I have lived many lives as a LeBron James watcher. I was very annoyed and disappointed with the whole Miami thing. I was very inspired and excited when he went back to Cleveland. I was very, I was surprised and kind of bummed when they went to the Lakers. But then again, I also kind of came back around on that too and was like, well, I kind of get it. This is the era that we're living in, and do what you want to, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that I am firmly in the camp of don't take this guy for granted. And what is interesting about that is I think that a lot of other people, anyone who has not caught up yet and is on the I appreciate LeBron James train, I think you're going to have another 4 or 5 years to get on it because dude's not going anywhere for a while. I watched a YouTube clip today of all his best assists in the bubble. And it's just like, this dude, if he can just say, I'm going to play this way now for the next 2 or 3 years, he can just say, and this is actually probably true, that Anthony Davis is the best player on this team in this exact moment, for what's going on right now. So I'm going to feed this dude. I'm going to draw defenders to me. I'm going to throw these laser passes. I'm going to lead the league in assists again and hit open shots. I think this dude's going to adapt and be around for such a long time that I think you're going to see a lot of people coming around on LeBron James. You're going to have people who are like, man, I wish I would have done this 5 years ago, but I hated the Heat, or I wish I would have done this 10 years ago, but I was annoyed at all the MJ comparisons. It's like, well, there's still time. You probably have another 4 or 5 years because this dude is not going anywhere. He's such a peculiar athlete in all the most wonderful ways. And I don't know if I want him to win a title this year or not, but I'm happy that he's still around and that he will be around for a while.
You know what?
Go ahead. Dean.
No, please go ahead.
Well, now I actually just lost my train of thought. You go.
Well, I think equal to that, and I agree with you because I just hate the individual, I hate the act and it's like anybody. It's like Tom Brady. I got sick of Tom Brady after all the Super Bowls.
I remember.
Trips. Yeah. You remember it? Okay, good. Go there. And I'll go back to why I hate it when the best people have the best things.
Okay, so I normally agree with you, and I've gone through the same emotional roller coaster, I guess, that Chris Trew has gone through with how he feels about LeBron. I personally want a team that lasts 15 years instead of renting somebody for 2 or 3. So I have all of these mixed emotions. However, the one thing that I think this team has going for it, which is hard to dislike, is the idea that they're playing for Kobe. And I think that is this overriding thing that this team has just never let go of. And it's just because of that, I think they're harder to hate for people outside Lakerland who typically do hate the Lakers. I think it's a thing that's actually made them harder to hate.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I absolutely, up until this point, just would have said I'm not interested in watching the final between the Heat. Although Heat and the Lakers, the Heat being there is a great story too because of what Spoelstra and Pat Riley have been able to do in a 2-year period to go from absolutely cupboards bare to being in a championship with a guy who, by and large, has played for enough teams to be considered a problem. But he's been fucking unbelievable in Jimmy Butler. So having said all that, I'm looking forward to it because of that narrative, right? Because of the Kobe narrative, because of the Gianna narrative, because of how huge of a fucking loss that was. I don't have a problem with the Lakers winning this year. I have a problem if the Lakers keep winning and if the Raptors don't do anything and if we decide to rebuild. I don't think we will, but it's bearable to watch LeBron James win another championship this year because of the Kobe narrative.
I'll tell you what won't be bearable for me as a proud New Orleanian, not a proud boy, but a proud New Orleanian man. I am not looking forward to the confetti falling from the sky in the bubble and a microphone being shoved in an MVP, Finals MVP, Anthony Davis's face, and he says not a licking word about his time in New Orleans. We are not going to get the Kevin Garnett treatment when he shouted out Minnesota after the Celtics won his first year, and after that trade, we still haven't gotten the thank you New Orleans Instagram post from Anthony Davis.
No head
it's
nod?
It's not happening. I'm not looking forward to that. But I think ultimately I am settling on A-okay with the Lakers win. And I am just really excited about this finals in general.
Right.
I was really excited for Raptors Warriors for a lot of similar reasons. Like it's like a surprising matchup, and I'm just excited. I'm excited in general, and I'm happy for you, Paul.
Yeah, I'm happy for Paul too because I like you. So that's the other narrative that I'm going with. Well, Paul will be happy. Do we know the line? Like, who's favored to win? Does anybody know the line of the finals?
The Lakers are favored heavily.
By a lot.
Heavily. It's almost embarrassing.
Do you know? Can we look up the line real quick because I want to get into that. One of the things I want to start doing is I want to start putting money on games so that I can make life more interesting.
I'll tell you my favorite bet to make right now is I haven't done this myself yet. I'm pulling up the numbers right now, but I really
minus 4.5.
Yeah, what I like is you can bet on exact series results. You can bet on Miami in 4, which don't do that. You can bet on Lakers in 4, also don't do that. But what I like is betting 2, Lakers in 7 and Miami in 7. Hang back and root for a really competitive series. And if you get to the game 7, you are a winner. I believe that is the most fun bet to make. You don't have to. You don't have. And if Miami wins,
why would you put
both sides? You never lose.
Yeah, but you never win either. You just kind of you just keep putting money into something for us, and you take a service charge off, and then you get your money back, and you're down like $10. I don't understand that.
Listen, I'll do the math for you right now. If I were to put $25, if I were to put $25 on Lakers in 7, and if I were to put $25 on Miami in 7, if Miami wins, I win $162 minus the 25 that I bet on the Lakers.
Okay.
If the Lakers win, I win $112 minus the 25 that I lost in Miami. So it's like you basically are rooting for like if you're like me right now, I actually think that this is a smart way of doing this. It's like I am rooting for everything? A competitive. No, I'm betting on 2 things. I'm betting on game 7 basically because that to me is more fun than individual games. Like, I think Miami's going to win tonight because Jimmy Butler, blah, 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 or Lakers going to win game 2 because that's when you zoom in that close on stuff, it can get really dicey and you can lose a lot of money that way. Mm-hmm. I think, sure, if you're feeling the most bold, then bet on one, bet on Miami to win in 7 games. But if you bet a little bit on both, you're betting on a game 7, and I think it's a really enjoyable way to watch the NBA Finals this year.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up a good point because to me, I like to bet. I bet on football. I understand most of the lines, but when it comes to placing little prop bets or trying to hedge whatever it is that you're doing, that part I don't understand. So you're right. When you zoom in on one aspect of the line and you say, okay, well, give me game 7 for both teams, not 6, not 5, not 4. But, is the smart money to lay, Lakers in 4, Heat in 4, Lakers in 5, Heat in 5.
Well, no,
6, Heat in 6, 7-7.
That's not going to work out mathematically for you, Dean.
No, but everybody wins all the time. Right, like
you're just paying to bet at that point.
Right, you're paying a membership fee to yourself.
It's like those guys that play those like 12 hands at blackjack, so they'll take over the whole fucking table and they'll play a whole bunch of different hands. And they have 3 that lose and 2 that win, and they're like, yes. And I'm like, dude, you're still down $200. It's like, I won twice. It's the same thing.
Well, are we gonna make our picks here, or are we just gonna sit around?
Well, I didn't know we were picking rookie. But
well, isn't that what you do when the playoffs kick off tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Lakers in 6.
I have Lakers in 5.
Miami in 7. Sorry, Paul.
True.
Miami in 7. That's plus 650 right now. If you were playing by my rules here, that Lakers and Miami in 7, it would net you a nice $150 if you throw a 25 spot on it. I like Miami in 7. Also, I like the Lakers in 7. I like a game 7. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go Lakers in 7, unfortunately. But I probably am going to just be betting on a game 7. And I don't know why more people don't talk about this. I think that's a fun way of betting this. I know I'm losing one of those bets, but the payoff is just the math works out. Like, I'm betting on a game 7. And I'm not parlaying it with Anthony Davis thinking New Orleans. Not doing it.
I wouldn't bet against LeBron James in a game 7, however. I think it would be a very tough thing to bet against.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I still don't know. I know that. Listen, I know that the Celtics imploded in the Eastern Conference Final. I know that the Raptors shot terribly for, I would say, 4 out of those 7 games, and they were really lucky to win one of them, specifically just to get out of that hole. But I can't bet against LeBron James, number one, and I can't see, because of everything that's riding on this, because of how good LeBron's been, because of how good that Alex Caruso, I mean, one of the ugliest men you'll ever see in the NBA, between him and Boban. Caruso. Seriously, the ugliest human being in the NBA. He does. You know what? He looks like an extra in that. Alex Caruso from the Lakers looks like an extra from that HBO Smash miniseries Chernobyl.
When Alex Caruso first joined the team, I didn't think he was American. I thought he was a foreign player. I had no idea.
He is. He's from Chernobyl. That's where he's from.
He grew up from Chernobyl.
That's why he's got all the spotty hair. He's from Chernobyl. He's an extra. But I can't see this series going a long period of time. I still don't really know, other than Jimmy Butler being all world and that Tyler Herro kid coming out of nowhere. I still don't really know what Miami's all about. So I know what LeBron's about, and I know what AD's about, and I know what's on the line this year. So I expect the game. I expect it to be done in 5. What is it if I put $100 on 5 for give me that line?
I will in a second, but before that, I want to tell you, if you put $100 on Alex Caruso to be Finals MVP, you will walk away with $8,000. My dude is on the board, though. My dude is on.
Cannot believe he's on the board. He's amazing. On the board.
I think my favorite NBA, my favorite most valuable player bet is it's Bam Adebayo plus 900, because if Miami wins, it's going to have a lot to do with him. And plus 900. That's a, whenever you hear people talking about, this is a good value bet, which I have like a kind of a weird relationship with the idea of a good value bet. Like, you only bet it because it's a good whatever. But I think that is probably the thing closest to a good value bet, because if Miami's going to win, it's going to be a lot because of this dude who neutralized AD theoretically. But Dean, you wanted to know about Miami. Lakers in 5 is what you're saying?
Yep.
Lakers in 5. Let's see. That is Lakers in 5. That's plus 250. So
not bad.
Not bad.
I like the long shots. I think I'm going to go for Chernobyl for MVP. See if I can win.
I don't know. Bam might be a good pick.
Chris knows too, because every time I talk to Chris, like the other day we were talking about fantasy. He's big into fantasy. I'm not. I need to get into it. I want to get into it. I want to create some things around me that are more fun. And so I really want to get into fantasy this year. And I know I'm late coming to it. I know that Chris doesn't do it. I don't know about you, Paul, but Chris Rooke last week called me and like, he'll call me out of nowhere and say stuff like, "Hey, I'm selling our company to a mining company." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" or "Hey, I'm changing the name of the podcast to Hits and Dicks." And I'm like, "No, you're not. You can't just do that."
Dean, you would like the way I do fantasy football. So I'm in a 4-person league. It's me and like my 3 best friends, and the winner
best friends
chooses
over
the
40?
Yes, you can have best friends over 40.
Hello. Did we freeze? Did Feinstein freeze?
I can try and complete a story for him. I'll take a wild guess.
Hang on. Is he there? Go ahead. Yeah. You finish, Paul.
Okay, so he has these 4 friends, and they all bet. The winner of the league picks their favorite restaurant, and then everyone else has to go there and throw up at the restaurant when the check comes, and the winner doesn't have to throw up, but everyone else is puking and vomiting on the table. It's a high stakes league. It's $100 buy-in,
With a lot of
and that's my guess. That's
Sorry,
my
guys.
guess.
That's okay.
That was
lost
probably exactly what he was.
I lost my internet.
He just-
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. We
No,
heard what Chris filled us in on what you were probably going to say. So why don't you fill us in on what you were going to say? 4 guys.
So
fantasy.
4 guys.
Yeah.
Winner chooses the restaurant.
Yeah.
Second and third place pay for the drinks. Last place pays for the food. So last year I lost, and I ended up having to pay $1,000 for this ridiculous meal. So
Hey, that's a really cool idea. I love
Yeah.
that.
And because it's only 4 people, everyone has a super team, but you only have 2 bench guys. So every week you have like some hard decision to make to get rid of some guy who may be hurt or has COVID. Like, this week, Derrick Henry, don't know if he's going to be playing or not. So, stuff like that.
Was he
It's
the
great.
Titan that got COVID? Was it Derrick Henry? Did he
No,
have
but the
COVID?
team, they decided to postpone the game.
Yeah.
So they don't know if they're going to play the game on Monday or Tuesday, or if they're not going to play it at all.
Yeah, which is going to be
Tuesday
tough.
night football?
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Wednesday night football, Thursday night football, Friday night football. We'll have all kinds of football.
Every day of the week. Why not?
Yeah. Rookie, did you, because you called me last week and you're like, hey, and this is what I was telling you guys earlier. A Rookie calls me. He's like, I just got rid of Stephon Diggs. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it was out of nowhere. He goes, fantasy, got rid of Stephon Diggs. I'm like, why? He's like, I said, he's huge, right? Because I don't do fantasy. He's like, you sell high. I took Eckler. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I feel like, if I don't get into the fantasy game, Chris, you're with me on this. Paul, you got to get in on too. If I don't get in on DFS, I feel like I'm not. I enjoyed the excitement in his voice, and I'm like, I'm missing out on fucking something here. That was what it was.
It's good times.
Do you know what
It's
I mean?
really fun.
But go ahead.
How does it all work? Is that what you're going to ask?
Yeah, because it's sort of the same reason why I didn't watch Game of Thrones, because it's not realistic. It's like there's a dragon in Game of Thrones, so I won't watch it. And fantasy sports just screams loser. So,
Dragons.
Yeah, dragons.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I don't do baseball or hockey or the everyday fantasy because I think that's just way too much. I tried my hand at baseball one year and it's too much. So football is kind of where I live and have been living. I have the same group that's been playing for 10 years. Everybody puts in $70. It's a year-long league, and it's just fun. Like, trading's fun, and it just makes you root for teams.
So what do you do? What do you do? Do you pick guys? Paul, you need to help us too. You pick guys and you make a team. And
there's
then
a draft at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And it's all based on individual performance and points you get that go into your fantasy.
So you all draft together, and there's a draft time. People can talk crap. Some people go in person, do a big board, kind of whatever you want to do. And you draft your team, randomize the order, and it's a snake draft. So you draft 1 to 10, however many guys in your league, 10 to 1. And you just go through the league and draft players.
What's a snake draft? I don't know what a snake draft is.
1 to 10, 10 to 1. So if you're the 10th pick, you get back-to-back picks.
Oh,
so we do an auction. So every single pick you get $200 to draft your entire team. So if you wanted to get Christian McCaffrey with the first pick, you might have to pay $90 for him, but that means you only have $110 left to pick the rest of your team. So the way we draft is that every single pick is an auction that we're just betting against each other to see who can get the player for the best value.
The one time that I tried to do a fantasy thing, it was for the NBA, and I insisted on picking everyone who had a tie to New Orleans, whether they were a current player, a former player, or if their last name sounded like they were from the South. And it was a complete nightmare. I don't recommend playing that way.
Yeah.
Listen to these guys, not to me.
Yeah, you sound like Chris, because Chris did a bachelor pool with his wife's girlfriends, and he got in on the bachelor pool. Never watched The Bachelor before. I'll debate for Love Island last night. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so like,
but that's how he picks. He just picks guys by their hair color, guys by how tall they are, and stuff like that. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. But like there are like people spend fucking huge money on fantasy every year, like enormous amounts of money. Yeah. And I had no idea until we started talking with guys in the fantasy area, and then I started talking to you about bets and placing bets and prop bets, and I'm like, this has to be part of my life now. Like I need to get in because it keeps you aware, especially when your team's not in the fucking game, right? Which is cool.
Yeah. If I could advise one thing though, Dean, is that if you're playing fantasy and you're also betting pro line, those two things can sometimes coincide. So if a player on your team is going to do really well, it might lose you your pro line ticket, and then it just gets all confusing. You get angry. Are you
just telling me that because that's what you went through?
Yeah. Well, if you pick a pro line and then you heard players on the team to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. The interesting part too is that when you get into some of these fantasy leagues, and I was talking with a friend of mine who's part of this thing called the Survivor League, where guys put in like $5,000 at the beginning of the year into this football pool. Have you heard of these Survivor Leagues? It's a cutthroat league, and you got to pick one team to win every week. And at the end of it, and I don't know anyone that's won this money, but I know guys that have been in this pool. One guy walks away with like $350,000, and you're like, ooh, how the fuck does that happen? Yeah, and like $350 for first place. Like some of these little side deals that people have, or little side pools, or little Survivor fantasy things, they're like fucking intense, like mob intense.
Yeah, there's real money at stake in a lot of these things. That's why we do it the way we do it, because it's an excuse for us to all get together for dinner at the end and talk some shit. But like, we don't really take it that seriously beyond that.
Right. I wouldn't either.
We got into trouble a couple years ago because guys started bringing in out of fantasy things to trade. So they were like, grab my groceries and do my laundry for a week for Stephon Diggs.
That I fucking love. That is gold.
Outside fantasy stuff. And then on the other side of things, it's the punishment too. So in our league, the guy who comes last has to do a punishment decided by the whole team or the whole league. So last year, the guy that lost had to go to the LCBO and play a guitar until he made $15.
What's the LCBO?
Liquor store.
It's our beer store, liquor and guns.
State-run liquor store. We don't have guns, but we have state-run liquor stores because they want to make sure that you don't buy any booze after 9 o'clock at night. That's the deal. No booze after 9 p.m. They don't sell it.
Honestly, it's probably smart.
Yeah, people still find a way to get pissed though. They really do. They really do. So I also wanted so there's that. Let's tee that up and put that over here because I want to start a couple of fantasy leagues. I don't know. Do they have fantasy basketball? Do they have?
Oh, yeah.
They do? Never heard of it. Do they have fantasy golf?
Yes. Fantasy golf's actually great.
You can bet on the Masters, U.S. Open, all that fun stuff.
Huh. I know they got football. And I know they got baseball because I've got a friend of mine that gets this baseball prospectus. It's this big, and he reads it before every draft. It's like 400 pages long. And I'm like, you are the biggest loser I've ever met in my life. And now here I am on the verge of trying to get into this shit. So I think because there has to be an education portion to this too.
Look, if there's real money on the line, I probably, like, if I was a degenerate and really putting real money on something like that, I would probably study up. But because we don't put real money on it, we just all wing it.
Yeah, so you're cool with spending $1,000 on dinner.
Money, yeah.
No, it's yes, but like you don't lose every year, and
you do.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
One of the things I wanted to quickly touch on before we get out of here, guys, and I appreciate you doing this, is I was struck by this story the other day, and I put it at deanblundell.com. It's these girls. They're pro surfers. They're named Holly Days Coffee and Ellie Days Coffee. These are two female surfers out of Australia. Now, they've got friends. All of them are attractive. And last year, because they're all very beautiful young ladies and they're pro surfers, they decided to do an OnlyFans account. Now, these are surfers that were like pro struggling surfers, kind of half in, half out. And they decided to start this OnlyFans account. So they put tasteful nude shots up there. I haven't logged in. I tried for about 6 hours to find pictures of them on OnlyFans yesterday, maybe 7. But I couldn't come up with it. But I do have pictures of them. If you have a look on the screen there, there's one of them surfing. Their Instagram accounts are at deanblundell.com. You can go check out the story. They've made in 1 year, $4 million on OnlyFans.com. So we're sitting here talking about $25 bets and not, betting for rent, which you were talking about in your last podcast, A Good Morning to Gamble, Chris, how your buddy doesn't bet his rent, but he bets heavy. And these girls have made $4 million just literally taking off 2 items of clothing, maybe once every week. And I started thinking, holy fuck, is there like a segment of society out there that's into, guys that are 6'3", 230, out of shape, dad bods, $10 a month? There has to be. Like, there's got to be someone out there disgusting enough to go, I want to see Dean naked.
Dean, let me tell you right now, there is 100% a market for that. And I also want to throw in there that you paid me money to add 2 articles of clothing to this podcast today. So you can do the opposite of OnlyFans if you're really innovative out there. But Dean, people are into so many specific weird things that I think that OnlyFans is such a cool platform, and I'm happy for everyone who has figured it out. Not everyone on OnlyFans is like beautiful by your regular standards. There's all kinds of strange stuff. Also, it's not just, I know we're talking about like the physical attractive, the porn-ish side of it, but there's not it's not exclusively that. Like, there's a lot of celebrities who have OnlyFans who are like, Cardi B is not posting nudes on OnlyFans, but she is posting like weird little videos just for people who really love her.
I love Cardi B too. I really
so do I. Cardi B for president. It's she would have said fuck during the debates, right?
No question.
And pussy and all kinds of other things.
Well, so this begs an important question for the panel.
Yes.
Is what is your dollar threshold to be posting your tasteful nudes on OnlyFans? What's the dollar amount that it's going to require for you to do it?
Are we talking balls and dick, or
the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Okay,
hold
it. Do I have to take my shirt off? There's the question. I'll shirt cock it, but I'm not taking my shirt off.
No, you don't have to take your shirt off. But you gotta show balls and dick.
Yeah.
Can I wear a mask? No. Okay.
No, because that's the whole idea, right? People are like, I love Chris Trew. I want to see him shirt cock.
It has to be Chris Trew shirt naked.
Yeah, $10. Subscribe.
$10. Wow.
Yeah, that's way lower than mine.
That's pretty low.
Let's go.
You charge $10. It is $10. It's $10 to be a subscriber to an OnlyFans account, right? So you're cool with the original amount, and I guess people can set their prices higher if they want.
Yeah.
But Chris, how much? What's your price?
I would say I'm thinking like I'm into high ticket offers, I'm not trying to get like 100 people at $10 a piece. I'm trying to get, 5 or 6 at, $79 a piece. I'm a high ticket offer guy. So I'm going to say $79
per subscription.
Yeah, I'm naming it after my first ever school bus. School bus number 79 was the first bus, and I got in a lot of trouble on there. Not for posting nudes, but I'm it's a magic number for me.
Paulie, how much?
So mine's an equation, and I'm gonna do a wrap around here to what we were talking about earlier. To what's the number for me to move to Spain? I think it's $500,000. So what's my minimum subscriber amount times what my subscriber rate is, whatever that is to get to $500,000. That's what it's going to be.
Are you going to Madrid or Catalan? I'm
gonna go to Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. We've been there together, Paulie. We've been there together.
You mean Barcelona?
Oh. I always think about things like this as like, what's the number that'll actually change my life
Right.
in some way, shape, or form? And I think $500,000 hits that mark.
Yeah, there's that whole, and it's decades old, and it was what we used to talk about when we were stupid. But how much would it cost for you to perform an act on someone you don't want to perform an act on? You know what I mean? And I like, we were all sitting around talking about it, and I'm like, probably $100 million. And
what?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, there's certain things that because there's no amount of money that can get that taste out of your mouth. So my whole thing is that if you or no amount of money to cover that kind of counseling, right? To be able to figure that whole thing out. Like, why did I just do that? It was for $100 million. Did I like it? I don't know. Like, there's a million different questions you can ask yourself after that, and I don't want to have those questions because that leads to anxiety.
For $100 million.
Yeah, and that's and now I'm at the stage of my life where I'm like, $100. $100, 20 times is $2,000. But
I think we got something here.
No, I don't think we do. But I have thought of signing up for an OnlyFans account. But I would just be. I think we should do a group OnlyFans account.
Ooh.
Yeah, where one, and it doesn't have to be like, if Cardi B doesn't show nudity, we don't have to do the same thing. We could do, how girls do cleavage. We could do the outline of our packages. You could do butt cleavage. There's a million different things you could do. Yeah, like a calendar, like where you're bending over to pick something up and you're like, oops, and that's the calendar shot. Like, it would be May. I would be May. No, February, because my birthday's in February, and I'd be leaning over like this, and over the shoulder, like that.
Is this my fault where this conversation has gone?
And
Is
you're
it me?
charging
Did I do this?
$100,000 for that?
No, $100, and but you get some butt cleavage there too, right? So there's lots you could do.
Chris Trew, is this me? Is this on me?
Yeah, it's on you.
Well, Dean brought it up, but you really, you really took it somewhere.
Anyway, I think that there's got to be an easier way to make money. I was watching these girls make $4 million in a year, and I thought to myself, there's got to be enough totally disgusting, crazy perverts out there who want to see all this.
But what if it was one person who was giving them the $4 million? Would you be less impressed or more impressed?
No, because who cares? It's the money, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, all you want is the money. That's it. That's all I'm interested in. Am I interested in being a nude model at 47 and 230 pounds? No, I'm really not. I don't think anybody else is either, which is sort of what stopped me from doing it.
Yeah, sort of. That's sort of what stopped you.
Okay, so we're going to start a fantasy league. We're going to continue this conversation, but I want to thank you guys for your time and thank you for being here. Of course, Paul Feinstein, travel writer. Paulcast is what you get at DeanBlundell.com. Mr. Paul Feinstein on Twitter and on Instagram as well. His latest podcast is all about sushi. It's fucking unbelievable. If you go to DeanBlundell.com, you can check it out. And I'm going to throw up that how to become a drumpfugee in Canada thing again today because it was brilliant. Appreciate you being here, Paul. Good luck, Lakers. I'm rooting for you. I really am.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Rookie, appreciate you doing this as well. The owner of Masterpiece Productions, official production company of DeanBlundell.com. Appreciate it. You're going to have to do a tutorial with me and Chris for some fantasy. I hope that's okay with you.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Chris Trew, thanks for doing this. As always, dude, super fun having you here. Good Morning to Gamble is the name of Chris Trew's podcast. You can get it at DeanBlundell.com and over at BootCrewMedia.com. And they just rep New Orleans, man. That's what they do. I like it. Who dat? It's Chris Trew. That's who dat is. Anyway, appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks to our friend Sean Sargent, who made all of this incredibly possible. Appreciate it, Sean. And don't forget, thanks to our sponsors, Ed at Ed's Fine Imports, you can get 4 Gitch for the price of 3 when you use promo code GITCH3. Boxer briefs, pouch in the front, his own branded underwear, luxury underwear at a very good price. I like it. Get it today. GITCH3 is your promo code. EdsFineImports.com. Thanks to Envision Digital Solutions. Any back-end, front-end revenue generators that you need for your website, or if you need a redesign, complete redesign, and you don't know what to do, these guys are ninjas. They're the best at it. Envision.co is the name of the company. Check them out today. Thanks to our friends at MassProduceProductions.com as well. Our friend Chris Rooke, appreciate you. Guys, have a great day. Don't forget to look for all of these guys on Twitter at Mr. Paul Feinstein, at Chris Trew on Instagram, Rookie doesn't care about his, so he doesn't give a shit. At It's Dean Blundell on Twitter as well. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon. Bye.